Joining us on the broadcast is our correspondent Carlos Rivas Lamas. He joins us from Caracas. Carlos, good evening. What's the latest on the security situation in the country right now?
Tensions continue to escalate in Venezuela as both sides here in the country called on their supporters to take to the streets today in Caracas and across the country. Self-declared interim president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido, has said Operation Freedom must continue and called once again on Venezuelan militaries to topple the leftist government of President Nicolas Maduro. The Venezuelan opposition has said the time has come to restore democracy and that they must remain in the streets until that happens. U.S. Secretary of State has said U.S. military intervention in Venezuela possible and that all options on the table, although he said the U.S. as the rest of countries which support Juan Guaido are seeking a peaceful transition of power in Venezuela through free and fair elections. President Nicolas Maduro denied U.S. accusation that he was leaving Venezuela on Tuesday and said that 8 Venezuelan militaries were injured during clashes between security forces and opposition demonstrators. Countries like Bolivia, Turkey, Russia and Cuba has shown their support to President Nicolas Maduro and rejected Venezuelan opposition's plans to overthrow him. Today, government supporters will rally in support of President Nicolas Maduro.
Right. Carlos, also Russia has said that it never told Maduro to stay back. Pompeo had claimed otherwise earlier today. Is it safe to say that there's also an information or rather misinformation campaign in play in Venezuela right now?
President Nicolas Maduro made his first public appearance yesterday night after Juan Guaido called on Venezuelan militaries to join him in Operation Freedom, as Guaido has called it. And President Nicolas Maduro denied the Venezuelan opposition and U.S. accusations that he was leaving the country Tuesday morning to Cuba and that Russia had stopped him and told him to stay in the country. So President Nicolas Maduro said that the U.S. and the Venezuelan opposition are pathological liars, that they are making up all of these lies to create chaos in the country. President Nicolas Maduro said that he has no plans to leave Venezuela and that he will remain in the country because he has the full support and loyalty of Venezuela's armed forces.
All right, so statements and counter statements from both the leaders. We leave it at that. Carlos Rivas Lamas, thanks very much for joining us from Caracas. But sticking with Venezuela, the opposition leader Guaido, ultimately, will he topple the president Nicolas Maduro? That's something that is going to be tracked closely in the next couple of days here on WION. Remember, the power struggle is gaining more momentum in Venezuela. So let's also take a look at what all has happened in Venezuela in the last 24 hours or so. It all began when Guaido once again called on the military to abandon Nicolas Maduro. Several dozen armed troops who were accompanying Guaido clashed with soldiers supporting Maduro. This took place in the capital, Caracas. Soon, anti-government protests that were taking place across the country and city turned violent. Thousands of people clashed with riot police. Protesters were seen pelting stones and targeting armored vehicles. One of them even slammed into protesters. The demonstrators were hit with pellets and rubber bullets. Around 80 people in all were injured in the violence. In other